We live in a world obsessed with age. How young do you look? How old do you feel? But beneath the creams, the filters, and the birthdays lies something far deeper than numbers, a question of identity. Who are you when age is no longer the marker? And what happens when wisdom arrives in a form that defies time? This is a story of timeless wisdom, the illusion of age, and the shifting sands of self. In ancient Greece, your age was your status. Old meant wise, young meant impulsive. But today, youth is currency. We strive to look young even as we age, and sometimes we shame those who appear too old for their dreams. Yet philosophers like Confucius believed age had nothing to do with the soul's maturity. The superior man, he said, is modest in his speech, but exceeds in his actions. Not his birthday, not his skin. We ask, do you feel 20 inside even at 50? Or do you feel ancient at 18, weighed by thoughts that don't match your peers? Maybe you're not old. Maybe you're just wise in disguise. The philosopher Augustine once said, "What then is time? If no one asks me, I know what it is. If I try to explain it, I do not know." Time is slippery. To a child, summer lasts forever. To an elder, decades flash by like headlights on a dark road. And yet time doesn't care about your age. It simply is. We age. But is that really the same as becoming old? Zen Buddhists talk about the eternal now. They believe that wisdom comes not from counting the years behind you, but from being fully present in this moment, this breath, this thought. What if our obsession with looking young is just a misunderstanding of what it means to be alive? Socrates said, "Know thyself, but which self? The one at 10, at 25, at 70. Your face has changed, your beliefs have shifted, but you, the awareness behind the changes, have always been watching. Age is just the costume. Identity is the actor. We are not fixed creatures. We're like rivers, ever flowing, never the same twice. But even as the current changes, the riverbed remains. The Stoics believed you don't own your body, or even your time, you borrow them. Your only task, to live well while you can. So, who are you when you stop chasing youth and start cultivating presence? Here's the twist. The wisest people often appear ageless, not because of how they look, but because they radiate a calm beyond time. Think of the Dalai Lama, or Maya Angelou, or your quietly insightful friend who never raises their voice, but always knows the right thing to say. True wisdom isn't loud, it doesn't brag, it listens, it sees through the noise. The paradox: wisdom often arrives when you stop needing to prove how wise you are, when you stop fearing age and start embracing life's quiet, enduring truths. In Japanese philosophy, there's a concept called wabi-sabi. It means beauty in imperfection, grace in aging, dignity in change. They mend broken pottery with gold, not to hide the cracks, but to highlight them. What if we saw our wrinkles, our scars, our years the same way? To age is to become art. To live is to change. To reflect is to grow. Maybe identity isn't about who you were, or even who you are. Maybe it's about how honestly you engage with your becoming. So, you are not your age, you are not your past. You are the unfolding experience of wisdom meeting time. The question is not, how old are you? It's how awake are you to who you are becoming? Because in the end, time passes, but meaning is timeless. We build our identity from memories, snapshots of who we were. But memory is a trickster. It forgets, distorts, reshapes. The philosopher John Locke believed personal identity was rooted in memory. But what happens when memory fades? Are we less ourselves? In mythology, figures like Odysseus return home unrecognizable, changed not just by age, but by experience. Even his own wife can't believe who he's become. Identity, it seems, is less a fixed statue and more a living myth, a story we revise every day. So perhaps the question isn't who was I, but what story am I telling now, and is it one worth remembering? There's a child in you still, a rebellious teen, a curious student, a tired worker, an old soul. You are not one age, you are many, all at once. Carl Jung called this the multiplicity of the self. You are a chorus, and every voice inside you, whether naive, wise, hurt or healed, has something to say. But here's the beauty, you get to conduct the orchestra. Do you let the fearful child lead, or the calm elder inside you? Do you silence the artist to make room for the critic, or do you learn to listen to them all? Integration, Jung said, is the path to wholeness, not perfection, wholeness. There are moments, rare, crystalline, when time slows down, a glance, a laugh, a sunrise at just the right angle. In those moments, age disappears, so does fear. All that remains is presence, and presence feels eternal. Philosopher Martin Heidegger spoke of being toward death, not as something morbid, but as a way to live more fully. When you remember life is finite, you start to cherish it. When you accept your time is limited, you stop wasting it on the superficial. Maybe that's what timeless wisdom really is, not knowing everything, but knowing what matters. So here you are, not old, not young, not fixed, not broken, not your age or your mirror, or your regrets. You are becoming, every day, with every choice, every insight, every moment of courage. Time may shape your body, but your spirit, it transcends. The Stoics said, memento mori, remember you must die, but that reminder isn't meant to sadden you, it's meant to awaken you. To the miracle of existing, to the freedom of letting go, to the gift of living truthfully before the clock runs out. So, live, grow older, grow wiser, but never forget, you are always more than time. You are timeless. If this resonated with you, pause for a moment, breathe, feel the wisdom of your own life, and if you know someone who needs this reminder, share it with them. Because we're all walking each other home, one moment, one breath, one truth at a time. The soul, if we believe in such a thing, has no clock. It doesn't gray with time, it doesn't wrinkle or weaken. Children can be old souls, and elders can be beautifully childlike. This defies logic, but not intuition. You've met someone who feels ancient, wise beyond years, and someone aged who clings to youth, unable to accept change. So what really defines an old soul? It's not time lived, it's depth felt, it's perspective earned, it's grace in the face of impermanence. And maybe, just maybe, that's the soul's secret. It ages not in decades, but in awakenings. We live in a world obsessed with youth, smooth skin, tight bodies, newness. Social media amplifies it, endless filters, endless comparisons, a culture that praises the glow of youth, but forgets the fire of wisdom. Yet in ancient cultures, age was sacred, wrinkles meant experience, gray hair meant knowledge, elders were storytellers, keepers of meaning. Somewhere along the way, we traded reverence for relevance, we began fearing what should be honored. But you don't have to participate in that forgetting. You can grow older and grow bolder. You can carry your age like armor, not apology. Because there is beauty in aging, not the kind sold in creams or surgeries, but the kind etched into your gaze, the kind that sees through illusion. Time isn't the enemy, it's the teacher. It teaches through loss, through letting go, through the slow understanding that nothing lasts forever. And that's what makes it beautiful. The Buddhists call it impermanence, the Stoics call it fatum, the poets call it longing. But all agree, there is no joy without the shadow of its end. So when you feel time slipping through your fingers, don't panic, hold it gently, let it pass, like water. Because the lessons it leaves behind, those stay, They shape you, they soften you, they teach you how to love what you have while you have it. Here quote Semming Wild, "You are not your past, you are not your future, you are this moment. This breath, this heartbeat, this awareness, right here. Everything else, just echoes, just dreams. And from this moment, you can begin again, not despite your age, but because of it. You quote Fear earned this clarity. You've walked through fire to arrive here. So let go of who you were, let go of who they thought you should be, let go of the mirror's judgment, the clock's ticking, the noise of not enough. And just be. Be the quiet, be the witness, be the one who remembers what matters. So let's come back. To the beginning, to that strange compliment, "You seem younger than you are." Maybe now it means something new, not that you look young, but that your spirit still dances, that your eyes still wander, that your soul is timeless. You don't need to chase youth, or fear age, or define yourself by numbers. Because the wisdom you seek, it's not out there, it's in you, it always has been. You carry it in your pauses, in your boundaries, in your capacity to love without possession, to be without proving, to feel without drowning. That is what timeless wisdom looks like, not perfection, but presence. So if this message stirred something in you, if it reminded you of your own depth, then don't rush back into noise. Sit, even for a moment. And ask, who am I really? Not by title, not by age, but by essence. And if you found truth here, share it. Because someone else out there is aging in fear, someone else forgot their light. Remind them. Here quote Semming's strange truth. As we age we become more ourselves. But to do that, we must shed. Shed expectations, shed borrowed beliefs, shed the weight of roles that no longer fit. You are not just becoming older, you are becoming real. There quote Semminger. To grow you must unlearn, to evolve you must return, to age with grace, you must embrace the parts of you that were once silenced. In childhood you were pure potential, in adulthood you are distilled essence. Not less, not fading, but focused. Wisdom rarely arrives loudly, it doesn't shout through megaphones, it whispers. It speaks through patterns, the same lesson repeating until we finally see it. It shows up in your choices, how you respond instead of react, how you pause before speaking, how you leave the party when your soul gets quiet. It quotes Semming's the knowing that you don't need to win every argument, that silence often holds more power than words. This is why elders used to sit quietly, not because they had nothing to say, but because they had already said it all. And if you listen carefully, you can still hear that silence teaching. You look in the mirror and see age, lines, softness, time made visible. But what the mirror doesn't show is how many storms you've walked through, how many nights you survived with a heart still open, how many versions of yourself you've buried just to grow. Your reflection isn't the whole story, it's the cover of the book, not the pages. So stop judging your soul by your skin, stop thinking you've missed your moment. You are not late, you are right on time. Because maybe your becoming isn't behind you. Maybe it's right here, unfolding breath by breath. In many traditions, aging is a spiritual path, not a decline but a return. In Hinduism there's the stage of the Vanaprastha, the forest dweller, where one leaves behind status and ego, and turns inward, seeking only truth. In Taoism the sage becomes like water, soft but unstoppable, invisible but essential. And in the quiet moments of aging, we too are invited inward. To leave behind the race, and walk the spiral path, to stop chasing purpose, and begin being purpose. Not for applause, not for achievement, but for presence itself. Aging, then, isn't a punishment, it's the curriculum of awakening. So take a breath, right now.
Feel your body, feel your heartbeat, feel the ancient rhythm inside you. You are not running out of time, you are returning to it. The timeless isn't somewhere far away, it lives in your stillness, in your laughter, in your ability to love, again and again, despite everything. So wherever you are on your journey, whatever age, whatever stage, know this, you are not fading, you are not late. You are becoming more real, more luminous, more alive. And that is timeless wisdom. Legacy isn't always what we leave behind, sometimes it's what we awaken in others, a seed planted by a glance, a conversation that echoes years later, a gentle word that shifts someone's entire path. You may never see the fruit of your kindness, you may never know the depth of your impact, but that doesn't mean it isn't real. We quote retort to build monuments, to be remembered, but what if the true art of living is in letting go of the need to be remembered, and instead, choosing to be meaningful now? Your legacy isn't carved in stone, it's breathed into the world moment by moment. And that is enough. We fear impermanence, we resist change, but what if impermanence is not a curse, but a kind of mercy, because it's the fleeting that makes things precious. A sunset wouldn't move us if it lasted forever. A single moment of love wouldn't feel sacred if we thought it could never end. Impermanence gives shape to beauty. It teaches us to see, to hold people close while we can, to say, I love you before the door closes, to savor the ordinary. Even the lines on your face, they're not signs of decay, they're evidence of a life deeply lived. Change doesn't mean you're disappearing, it means you're still alive. As we age, the noise falls away, the need to prove, the desire to impress, the craving for more. And what's left is the profound beauty of simplicity. A cup of tea, a walk without your phone, the sound of birds at dawn, the slow unspooling of a day without urgency. In youth we chase complexity. We think meaning lives in the extraordinary. But later, if we're lucky, we realize that meaning hides in the ordinary, but only when we're still enough to notice. Maybe that's the secret to peace, not adding more but removing what no longer matters. In a world obsessed with doing, there is quiet rebellion in just being. No performance, no hustle, no need to be seen. Just presence, just existence, just the sacred act of being here. You don't need to reinvent yourself, you don't need a 5-year plan, you are not a project, you are a person, and you are allowed to rest in your own being. In fact, sometimes the most radical thing you can do is nothing at all. Just breathe, just notice, just be. Because being in itself is enough, and in that stillness, you may find that the world opens to you in ways it never did when you were running. If there's one thing time can't take from you, it's your ability to be present. Because presence is outside time. It doesn't care how old you are, it doesn't measure your wrinkles or your speed, or your resume, it just asks, can you feel this moment, right now? Not yesterday, not 5 years from now, now. That quote says where the timeless lives, not in eternal youth, but in the depth of your awareness. A child can touch it, so can a 90-year-old monk. You don't need more time, you need more presence. And the miracle is it's already yours.
Solitude is often mistaken for loneliness, but solitude is not the absence of others, it is the presence of yourself. In solitude you meet the person beneath the roles, the self beneath the name, the voice beneath the noise. It quote, self's where the mind softens, the heart opens, and the soul exhales. In youth, we flee from solitude. We crowd our lives with movement and noise, thinking that silence is emptiness. But in time we learn, silence is full of meaning, full of memory, full of you. The wise do not fear being alone. They know that in solitude they are finally in the company of someone worth knowing. Their quote, "It's a strange kind of confidence that comes with youth, a belief that time is endless, that identity is fixed, that answers come easily. But youth is often a performance, a mask worn tightly, a script recited by heart. It is only when that mask begins to crack, when the lines deepen and the body softens, that we see what lies beneath. Age doesn't strip us of beauty, it reveals it. The world tells us to mourn our fading youth, but the wise don't mourn youth, because they know youth is not truth. It is only the beginning of truth. Real confidence isn't loud, it's not about certainty, it's about the quiet knowing that you don't need to know everything. We spend our early years becoming someone, building an identity, assembling the mask, collecting approval. But eventually we begin the journey back. Back to the self we abandoned, back to the voice we quieted, back to the child who once stood barefoot in the grass, curious, unashamed and whole. Age, then, is not a decline, it is a return, a shedding, a remembering, a homecoming. We don't become less ourselves with time, we become more. And perhaps that's what it means to grow old with grace, not to cling to who we were but to finally embrace who we've always been. In every storm there is a center of stillness, and in every life, there is a quiet place that remains untouched. It self, the place that doesn't age, that doesn't worry, that doesn't need anything. You Viv felt it before, in a moment of awe, in deep love, in the hush, after a deep breath. That stillness is who you are, not the body, not the thoughts, not even the stories. Just awareness, just this breath. And from that place you begin to see, you were never just a person passing through time, you were time itself, you were the witness. The light,